Good morning, students. Hope you all are staying safe at home. Today we will be starting a new chapter of history, chapter 1, When, Where, and How. In this chapter, we will learn about what history is and why it is important to study it. We will learn about the sources by which we can reconstruct the history. So let us move on to what is history. The word history, it is derived from the Greek word historia, which means a narrative of past events. The people who study history, they are called historians, and who like to use all these remains as past of the past as clues to unravel many of the stories, many of the mysteries, many reasons behind it. Prehistory is the study of human history before writing developed, or we say before we started knowing that how to write. Is the period is known as prehistory. Now the point comes that why do we study history? What is the need to study history? Why do we have to deal with the things which have happened long time ago? So let us learn about some of the reasons that why should we study history. First of all, history, it shows us how things have changed over time. The second reason is it helps us to understand how societies and communities it evolved, it changed with time. How do we live in a society? How we came to know that what happened in history. So history it helps us to also learn about lessons we get from the great leaders, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. Their life, their decisions, their activities teaches us about the values of equality, honesty, and self-respect. Also, with these human actions, there were horrifying and terrific events which took place, like world wars and Holocaust, in which many of the people died. Studying those situations which happened in history, we will learn about that how to avoid similar situations in the future. History also teaches us about people from other cultures, and it gives us best understanding that how things changed in the world, how people changed. Now moving on to dates and timelines. In order to study, or we can say understand history in a better way, historians they arranged past events and dates in the order of their occurrence, which is known as chronological order, in the order of their events, how they occurred. So, from a long period of time, the dates they were counted from the year in which Jesus Christ was believed to have been born, and his year of birth was taken as a starting point. So, it was known as BC, that is before Christ. So, period of before the starting point is BC, before Christ, and the period after his birth is known as AD, that is Anno Domini, which means the year of our Lord, in the year of our Lord. After that, a neutral system of dating came, which has been used, and that is known as BCE, that is before Common Era or Common Era. So now let us move on to sources of history. As historians, they collect information from a wide variety of sources to reconstruct the past. Sources of history they can be classified in two main groups. The first one is archaeological sources, and the second one is literary sources. Let us move on to archaeological sources. Archaeology, it is a scientific study which is based on the physical remains of the past. The place from where these remains are being dug out, these remains are being taken out, it is known as archaeological site. An archaeologist, they analyze these objects and they reconstruct the history. These objects include tools, weapons, pottery, jewelry, cloths, seals, paintings, sculptures, monuments, and all the remains of the cities. Let us move on to coins. coins and seals, they were valuable, they were carrying valuable information about them, which tells us about whatever was written on coins. It tells us about the rulers, the year of their reign, their kingdoms, their empire, their administration, etc. The study of coins is known as numismatics. The second one is fossils. They are important archaeological sources. We can say the humans or animals or plants, when they were being embedded in rocks over many of the centuries, after time evolved, they have turned into fossils, and they were also carrying rich information to study about. Burial sites are also main information, we can say a main archaeological source, which tells us about how the people lived at that time. As the deads, they were buried with the objects of whatever they needed, as it was believed that in afterlife, means after death also, these things would be required by the person who is dead. So everything was buried with them, and that is why it was known as burial sites. So when these things were taken out or dug out from the earth, it was a wide variety of archaeological sources which tell us about history. The next is monuments. As monuments, they are also made structures of historical importance, and it tells us about how it was built, when it was built, what was the reason that it was built. All the information about the king who built it, the empire, the administration, social, political, and economic conditions of that period of time is being known by monuments. Now let us move on to literary sources, as these sources includes all written works which provides us information about the past. Inscriptions and manuscripts, they were the earliest examples of handwritten records, and after the invention of printing of books, it was very common that books were being printed on a fast rate, as literature was being presented on books. So it was very easy to write our views on books. Literary sources, they are of two main types, religious and secular sources. So literary literature, or we can say religious literature, first of all, it includes all the texts that deals with religion. Everything which deals with religion, every literature which deals with religion comes under religious literature, which tells us about social, political, economic, or religious lives of people of ancient India. The next is secular literature, which includes normally written texts which are not religious in nature, autobiographies, biographies, court chronicles, accounts of foreign travelers, everything came into it. So now let us learn about influence of geography on Indian subcontinent. As geography of Indian subcontinent, it significantly influenced the course of its history, as the Himalayan ranges in the north, which acted as a natural barrier which prevented many of the invaders from attacking India from the north side. However, many of the different powers, they tried to enter into India from north side. So Himalayan ranges, it prevented us from the invaders. After this, there were long coastlines in India. Today also, which we enjoy it, we used to trade with it. So people in India, they enjoyed trade relations with many of the countries across the seas. And as we have seen, the foreign powers like British, they also came here, they established their empires and used the coastline to trade here. So geography has a great influence on Indian history. So students, with this we have reached to the end of the lesson. Now, here's an activity for you all, that you have to use Worli paintings to express your views and opinion about any of the thing, about your hobby or anything it can be. As the cave paintings were done in Bhimbetka, which is in Madhya Pradesh, so you can also try some Worli art to express your feelings, as in ancient India, people tried to express themselves when they were not learning, when they were not knowing how to write. So they were used to express themselves by drawing. Similarly, use worldly art to express yourself. Keep learning and have a good day ahead.